Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a happy good morning to you wherever you are. This is the Clara Luper radio show, and today's show is being brought to you by Robert Gates of Gates Barbershop, located at 2609 North Martin Luther King in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. So you want a haircut? All you have to do is to go to Mr. Gates Barbershop, and Mr. Gates will give you that haircut, the kind that you need. Thank you, hometown, for joining us in celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday. Hometown is located at 2001 Northeast 23rd Street in Oklahoma City. Now, you don't have to have an appointment. You can go there anytime, and they will be open until 12 o'clock. Sometimes you wonder, what can you have? What can you do for yourself? You can give yourself some barbecue. Why don't you go to Tom's Barbecue, 2504 Northeast 10th Street in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Help yourself to delicious barbecue. You know, sometimes when I think of children, I think of Johnson Shardina's daycare. I think of a daycare center where your children are safe and you don't have to worry about whether they're getting the proper food, the proper exercise. They take care of you at Johnson Shardina's. Today is a very special day because I have something very special for you. You know, last week, a nation celebrated the birth of Martin Luther King Jr., and it was a celebration. The celebration was echoed all over the world, and I was so happy to be home because last year this time I was in Guam and Saipan, Palau, Tokyo, but this year I was home. And there were many things that happened that I want to share with you because I know many of you were not able to join in the celebrations. Let's start out with the 5th Midwest City and Spencer area celebrating the life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. It was a celebration. Reverend Ron Liggins was there. Reverend Richard Lasky presided, and his choir was there, and they were out of sight, along with the Abundant Life Baptist Church. No one can forget the songs by Bethlehem Star Choir, nor the words from the Honorable Judge Vicki Miles and Mrs. Doris Stevenson. But then we came to a part of the program that I want to share with you. A young man that I've seen grow up was there. He took our hearts back to that historical day, August 1963. And when you see different generations celebrating the birthday of Martin Luther King, then you realize that Martin Luther King will continue to live in the hearts of all of us that love him so well. Yes, Martin Luther King told the world about his dream. And every year, from now until eternity, people will talk about the dream. But today I have a young man, Charles Shelton Jr., who was there last Saturday, and all of this happened at a church that's so close to our hearts, the neighborhood ministry. The pastor is the Honorable Reverend James Ford, who opened the doors and give opportunities to young people. And with me today is an outstanding young man, our future, Charles Shelton Jr., who will do I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King.
50 years ago, a great American into whose symbolic shadow we stand signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon of light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who have been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro still is languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his homeland. So we've come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice reality for all God's people. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must fairly conduct our struggle on the high planes of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protest to degenerate into physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force. The marvelous new militancy which has engulfed the Negro community must not lead us to distrust of all white people. For many of our white brothers, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny, and have come to realize that their freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone. So I say to you, my friends, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream, that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day, on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and sons of former slave owners will one day be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, little black boys and little black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and little white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places shall be made plain, the crooked places shall be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed to all flesh, shall see in it together. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to struggle together, to pray together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free someday. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountain side let freedom ring. And we will allow freedom to ring. We will let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and city. We'll be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty we are free at last.
That was a message that I heard. I wanted so much to share it with you. That was from Charles Shelton Jr. How old are you, Charles?
13.
Where do you go to school?
Independence Charter Middle School.
Thank you so very kindly. Charles has to go today. He's playing a big basketball game. Let me wish you good luck. Thank you so very kindly. And then at the Neighborhood Baptist Church, there was music by St. Luke's Baptist Church. Oh, it was something. The voice is so melodious. Dr. Wilburn introduced a speaker for today, for that day, and that was last Saturday. Reverend Kenneth L. West, the pastor of St. Luke's Baptist Church. And he talked to us from Acts 2 and 10. The celebration by Reverend James Coates and his choir was just unbelievable. And then we joined hands as a family and did We Shall Overcome, as the words of Dr. Clint W. Wilburn Sr. echoed in our hearts. Not only that, that church gave to the Freedom Center donation to help them in getting their heater. Thank you, Reverend Ford. Not only that, there was a delicious chili dinner that was really outstanding. But then came Sunday. On Sunday morning at the Fifth Street Baptist Church, the words of Martin Luther King echoed through the churches, and a slaughter said, I have a dream. And she did a job for us. But that was not the end of it. At St. John's Baptist Church, hundreds of people gathered to celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday. This was a tradition here at St. John. It had been started by that eloquent, that dedicated Dr. W.K. Jackson, and the people were there. The people were there, believe me. And Dr. Jones spoke. It was a speech that we should never forget. There were reflections from the movement by Thelma Parks, the board member, Reverend W.B. Parker, the pastor of the loving St. James Baptist Church. Reverend Parker brought tears to my eyes because he went back and told the audience that he had been offered the principalship of Dungy High School. And he was called in and say, the principalship of this school is yours. But there's just one thing that you have to do. You have to fire Clara Luper. And Reverend Parker said, no, I can't do that. And he told that story in such a warm way that people felt it all over the audience. Thank you, Reverend Parker. And then we shall overcome echoed through the audience. After then came Monday. And Monday, may I go back and say that on Sunday night, there was a celebration at the Jewish temple. It was widely attended. Roosevelt Milton said it was one of the greatest. Then it was Monday. It was the celebration. There was a breakfast at Midwest City. It was a Midwest City prayer breakfast. The people were there. We expected about 500 people, but there were about 900 people that were present. And Langston University's choir, under the direction of Bonita Franklin, sang out of their hearts. The Chief of Police of Spencer, Chief of Police of Webb, did I Have a Dream. And once again, our hearts were warm to the nth degree. And then the speaker, Father Clemens, brought a message that took us into a world that we must be in. He challenged us. What a speech, what an opportunity. And then he closed his speech by saying, it's up to you. It's up to you. Finally, it was over. We left Rose State College and headed toward Ralph Ellison's library. And there a large number of people had gathered. There were remarks. Roosevelt to Milton was up explaining what we were going to do the rest of the day. And he did. There was a silent march from Ralph Ellison's library to the state capitol. At the state capitol, men, women, children all gathered around, and it was kind of cool. And then we saw a new kind of love. Mrs. Savage, who owns McDonald's on 23rd and Broadway, brought hot chocolate to warm the spirit of the people that were there and gave it to us. The governor of the state of Oklahoma came and rang the bell. At 11 o'clock sharp, all over this country, bells were ringing in memory of Martin Luther King. And now I'm down to the point that I want you to tell me about. Because I had asked you to come to Calvary Baptist Church. You came, by the hundreds, by the thousands. And I should surprise you today because they say we had the second largest march in the United States of America. And I want some of you that were there to call me at 672-1220 and tell me about what you saw in the march. I'm expecting Roosevelt Milton and some others here to tell me. Sir, were you at the march? Were you there?
I was there.
Tell me about it.
Well, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. Clara, and you were wonderful. And Leotis Strong was wonderful. There was an interesting detail this year because the historic Calvary Baptist Church has new leadership and new ownership from some people who believe that only Christians should speak from their church, not our Jewish friends, not our Muslim friends, not our Baha'i or Buddhist friends, but only Christians. And Dr. King's inclusive message about dignity and human rights and equality for all people had no exclusions. And Coretta Scott King has carried that message on herself. No exclusions. And the people who now control the Calvary Baptist Church said no non-Christians could speak there, and no one could speak who was either gay or lesbian. So the Martin Luther King Coalition put up a microphone and a stage down the street in 2nd Street, and we were to have our interfaith prayers and our welcoming from Clara Luper and the other dignitaries who were gathered there to sing and to lead us in Lift Every Voice. Down the street, well, I want to tell you that Clara Luper took the microphone and she was not happy to have been excluded from the historic Calvary Baptist Church, and pretty well let us all have it for being, you might say, cowards and being a half a block down the street from where we should have been, which was on top of that historic hill where W.K. Jackson led the 1969 sanitation workers' strike, and where Dr. King had been personally present when he was interviewed to be the minister of that church many, many years ago. People began to say, well, let's go on up the hill. So we picked up the PA system, we picked up the battery, and we picked up the chairs, and we walked up the hill to the Calvary Baptist Church singing We Shall Overcome. And I want to tell you that there were black people and white people and Muslim people and Baha'i and Buddhist and people from India, and there were tears in people's eyes, Clara, because you challenged us to walk up the hill where we belonged. And then Clara took the microphone right in front of the Calvary Baptist Church, I would say standing on their steps. Some people were saying, be careful, Clara, I think we're trespassing here on the church property. She said, I'm going to welcome you now to where we should be to start the Martin Luther King Day Parade. And she spoke powerfully and she spoke forcefully. There were every group represented at that King Day Parade. I mean, I would say conservatively there were 10,000 people involved with the march and standing by the side of the road for the parade. After Clara's remarks, Leotis Strong was introduced, and he gave a rousing speech about justice issues that affect all people of all nations, the economic justice, the poverty that has been increasing in the world and in the United States, and how we all must be registered to vote and be involved with our school system, etc., etc., etc. He gave several principles that I remember he said the fight that Moses was fighting for his people, let my people go, was not Moses' fight. It was God's fight, and Moses was the instrument. And throughout the liberation of slaves in this country, the historic people who led that movement, it was not their fight, it was God's fight for liberation. And that Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. King's struggle, that was not Gandhi's struggle and King's struggle, it was God's struggle for justice, and Gandhi and King were their instruments, were their tools of justice. And on that day, Clara, I want to say that you were the instrument of God's justice. And I was so proud to be standing anywhere near you and Leotis Strong for the fine words that you said. It melted the hearts of the thousands of people listening. I was proud to be there. Thank you.
Thank you for those very kind words. But you're right. I was angry. I could not believe that you all were 2 blocks, 3 blocks away. And if I call you cowards, I meant it. This is Clara Luper. Hello? Hello?
Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, Clara.
Yes, I can hear you, Roosevelt.
Good morning. I want to apologize.
Just a minute, Roosevelt, start over.
Yeah, I was intending to have been out there at the station this morning, but as things would happen, you know, sometimes you can't do everything you plan, but this is a great opportunity to call in anyway, since I couldn't be there with you.
But you speak a little louder for me.
Okay, I'll do the best I can. You know, I don't speak too loud.
But you will.
I just do the best I can.
Okay.
But it was a wonderful weekend, a wonderful experience, and I think as Batchelder, who is a member of the original group of us who some 20 years ago decided that we wanted to try to make Martin Luther King's birthday a holiday, and people kind of thought we were crazy. But we certainly was successful in making that happen, and we were very fortunate to have had Governor George Nye at the time, because if we'd have had any other governor, I doubt if we would have had the success that we did early on.
Roosevelt, are you close to a radio?
Well, I'm in my home.
Well, move away from the radio. We are getting an echo out here.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
All right, let me just step outside.
Okay, Roosevelt is stepping outside, ladies and gentlemen. Roosevelt is the president of the Oklahoma Senior Branch of NACP, and I want you to hear him very clearly. Are you outside, Roosevelt?
Yes, I'm outside now. Is that a little better?
Yes, that's better.
Okay. Well, I think as I said, I think the entire weekend went very well. We were inspired by you and your leadership and what you talked to us about in terms of relocating from where we were up to Calvary Baptist. And of course, about 12 or 14 of us probably was around when Minister Bob Davis showed up to admonish us to get away from the front of his church, and of course we didn't do that.
He was at. He had called the police on it too. Yes,
indeed, he did call the police. Well, the police, I think,
was already there.
Yeah, they were there, but then he went and got a police officer to come over and to extricate us off of that corner. He didn't want us on his property or anywhere close to their property. And you know, there's somewhat of a fine line between the law and civil disobedience. Now, by us being, actually the MLK coalition was not on the property, but some of the people were on the property.
Well, I was on the property.
You was on the property. You were in front of the door on the property. But the police officers were not going to make any move to arrest you. I knew that just from talking to them, and they had just hoped that we would not do anything to excite the crowd. But the crowd was already excited because it was Martin Luther King Day.
Well, I want to congratulate you because you do have a cool head. You know, when I came out there and the minister was there, and he told me to move off of the steps and everything, I asked him a question. I said, sir, I didn't see your name on those steps. You have your name out there. And if you'd be kind enough to give me the money that I put in collection through the years at Calvary Baptist Church, I'll be happy to move. But in the meantime, if you arrest me today, I had 800 students out there. And you talking about arresting Clara, Luper, and a lot of my kinfolks were there. And it's something mysterious about my kinfolks. They all don't believe in nonviolence, but they were there. And you handled that very professional.
Well, I'll tell you, Bob Davis knew that his back was against the wall, too. And it was incumbent upon all of us, really, to prevent anything from happening that might put us all in a bad light. The other thing is, though, that one of the original members of the coalition is an attorney and also is a state representative. And he had already talked to us about legalities and all of that. So we kind of was thinking about that. But I scheduled an appointment to meet with Bob Davis at a point sometime in the future, as soon as we can develop our agenda. And that was kind of the thing, I think, that kind of settled him down. That he said, well, we would meet later on. They really kind of forgot about you standing on that property.
Well, I was standing there, and I went further up, closer to the door, because I wanted to see him come up there and tell somebody to get off of that property. And I told him that you're living out in a town where we marched from this church out in northwest Oklahoma City, so people as black as me, and I'm as black as a blackberry, could go out there and live. And you living out there, and you got the audacity to come up there and tell us to move. And we used to sing a song, Roosevelt, all the time. I shall not be moved.
I thought about all of that, Clara. You laid it on him pretty good out there, and he was flabbergasted. He just didn't know what to do. He wanted to come up and ask you to leave and ask the rest of them to leave. And to be very frank, He made me so upset there for a minute. I thought about just getting up there in front of that group and just asking him to come up and tell the people what he wanted to tell them, which was to move off of his property.
He would have been booed out of
I
town.
know it. I'm glad that God moved the way he did that day and touched my heart, and I didn't do that to Mr. Bob Davis. But I think you set a tone for us, and I think that tone that you set would lead us on into the future. And we're going to be discussing and we're going to be assessing what happened. We're going to look at the entire activities for that entire week. And if changes are indicated, then we want to try to make the right changes. So we invite people who came out and attended, people with ideas about how they think that holiday should be celebrated. We're going to invite them to come with their ideas and share those ideas. And we're going to try to make an even better recognition of his birthday and his holiday.
Well, you have to go some. Let's go and thank the people because, we asked the people to come out, and they came out.
They sure did.
Let's talk about some of the groups that were there.
Some of the floats, you say?
Yes.
Well, we had Oklahoma Natural Gas.
What a beautiful float.
Oh yeah, they were just outstanding. Miss Luper, to be very frank with you, I can't name all of those floats and stuff that was out there. I tell you, there was too many people out there, frankly, and that really wasn't my part. My part was trying to get prepared to manage the program that we had at the Temple B'nai Israel on that Sunday night, to be prepared to manage the program at the library the next morning, be prepared to manage the program at the bell ringing, and then to be prepared to do what we needed to have done down on the Deep Deuce, and for the NAACP to lead the silent march and, again, the big parade downtown. And that was kind of my part. I had put in a call to Mr. Sergeant William Jones, who has been managing the parade with some volunteers. He's been doing that for 3 years, done a wonderful job, Miss Luper, and we need more volunteers next year.
Well, see, look here, Roosevelt, I'm interested in those groups, and Nat said he saw some of them.
He has all of those, Mr. Davis. I'm going to get the home list from Mr. Jones. I was trying to get that before today, but I wasn't able to catch up with him.
Roosevelt, I'll mention a few, and that'll remind you of some of the others. It was beautiful. It was multiracial. It was multi-ethnic. It was multi-religious. The National Buddhist group had a marching contingent. I saw labor unions, the AFL-CIO, the United Auto Workers, the Communication Workers of America. There were Hispanic groups. It was a colorful day of diversity, and I truly do believe that Dr. King and Coretta Scott King would have had tears in their eyes. It was beautiful. All the high school bands with the marching contingents and the kids, doing their routines that they do on the football field at halftime. I mean, it was celebratory. It was joyful. It was inclusive. It was diverse. And the people got the message that this is for everybody, not just for one group or one color or one race or one religion or one national origin, but for everybody. And I was so proud to be there.
Yeah,
Hang on, Roosevelt, don't hang up. Calvin is here with his observations.
Of course, and first of all, Mom, let me say good morning to you and to our most intelligent listening audience. But Roosevelt, some more greetings, I like to give when we start the show. But Roosevelt Milton, I want you to know, and I told you personally, I told you during the march, I told you after the march, and I'm telling you publicly now, Roosevelt Milton, next time you lead a march, please keep the pace down for those of us who are not from the country. I know who back there were trying to keep up with Roosevelt and Pat and Shirley Darrell and Regina and all that, and you had a fantastic pace going, and my thought was that freedom ain't fast. Then I got to thinking, freedom's not far from here. The march will end. But by the time we got there, I was really tired out. And I want you to know by Wednesday, my
721-220. Call me. Hello?
Hello, and good morning, Mrs. Luper, and hello to the radio audience.
Yes.
I'm happy to see this beautiful day, but I want to talk about that beautiful parade.
Yes.
Was magnificent. I've been going to the parade and participating in the parade as long as I can remember. And when I got there and saw all of those people standing around Calvary's church, I just could not hardly believe it. And I was trying to work my way down. I said, oh, no, I'll just stand here and listen to all of the good things that's being said. But you mentioned this morning that the man said only Christians could talk. I'm wondering where does he get his Christians from? Because I thought to become a Christian, you had to go to somebody's church to confess your beliefs that you are a Christian and that you believe this and then the other. So now he said only Christians can join his church. I'm wondering how is he going to get them when only Christians can come there. That's all for that. So I just would like for him to call me and tell me that answer. But for the parade, it was magnificent. It was marvelous. You know, I sat there from the beginning to the end. Because I had my grandson in the parade as Mr. Freedom for Esther's King. And as I watched the parade, Mrs. Luper, I know this was the largest parade that we have had. I thought we had a large parade last year, and it was beautiful. But this one was terrific. It was beautiful. It was dynamic. It was versatile. It had mixed groups of all kinds. And we had some of everybody in it. And as I looked at some of the cars that went past, as far as Perry came to be in this parade, I don't know if you noticed that, the religious groups that came from out of the city of Oklahoma City, just down here, to be in the Martin Luther King's parade.
There were 2 busloads from Clinton, Oklahoma, thanks to Thomas Redwine.
But this bus was from Perry, Oklahoma.
Perry, Oklahoma.
Perry, because I read you right. So I looked at people in that bus. They had a van full of people. And they had their bus, and they had the name on it and all of that. And for Oklahoma City, I do want to say thank you, and thank you for showing up as a parade, just for keeping the King's dream alive. Because this is something that we have to reach to, and we have to look forward to. Because things are still happening, and if you do not know they're happening, let's wake up that dream. Now that he has dreamed it, let's keep our eyes open and see if that dream can materialize. Because things is happening in our community now. We have our eyes closed, and we need to take a look at it. And then for the magnitude of the parade, I was reading the Daily Oklahoman, and they said Houston, Texas had a beautiful parade and a large parade. And it was one of the largest, they say. I think I'm quoting it correctly, and I stand to be corrected, that they had the largest parade. Secondly, guess who they said it was? Oklahoma City. We had the second largest parade, far as number and participants were concerned, because we did have a big parade, and if you weren't there to see it, you missed it.
Well, thank you so very kindly, Letty. You know, last week I was talking about that black flag. I asked the people to give me some information because I thought it was a disgrace. And I think that it's awful for teachers to say that their students have done research and they cannot furnish any information to people where the research came from. So somebody said, Clara, aren't you scared of Millwood to say that about the Millwood school? I'm not talking about the whole school. I'm talking about whoever was responsible, talking about an all-black flag and a black nation. I thought it was ridiculous. How do you feel about it?
Well, Mrs. Luper, you know, I read it. The only thing that I know is that I read in the paper. And I do not know the insides of it.
Not the inside. We don't go by inside. We go by words.
They do salute the American flag.
Well, I'm not talking about that,
Letty. The black flag, I think about 2 days ago, they had the words in the paper. And I read the words there.
Did you agree with
them? I didn't favor the way that it was written.
The way it was written.
From my experiences, I remember I was overseas, and everywhere you went over there, you had to sign your name and you.
Okay, let's get to the point.
But hold it. I'm gonna get to the period.
Okay, but get to the period and tell me how you feel about the flag.
Hunter, at that time, we were blacks, and the man took a big black mark and drew through it and put down American. So that really did hurt me. I'm overseas and I can't speak English, French, or anything
But
else.
you're not far
So
from Millwood
I
School
do
now.
not favor a black flag
Okay,
because the American flag is for everybody.
okay,
Because that flag is only a symbol that this is America.
okay. Well, thank you,
And I'm
Letty.
looking at all the flags that I saw overseas that people cheered for. I didn't see any yellow and white people, and they were standing up cheering for their flag because it symbolized their country. I want them to know that red, white, and blue are just some colors that we selected, and it symbolizes the United States. Not one person, not two people, but
Okay.
all Americans.
Okay. Well, thank you, Letty.
All right, fine.
Okay, well, that was Letty Ruse. She finally came out and said she was against that. And I don't know about those of you in Millwood School, but I want you to know it. And if you don't like it, you are welcome to come out here and tell me where you got the research. I have time for 2 more calls. Hello.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Coco Thomas, your fantastic reporter. I'd like to ask if you bear with me. I am a little hoarse this morning. I hope that you all know that Monday was the birthday celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which started off with a prayer breakfast at Rose State College, which I must say was great. The program was great, the turnout was great, and also the food was great. From there on, we had a silent march from Ralph Ellison Library to the Capitol, where we had the bell ringing ceremony, where bells were ringing all over the United States and capital cities. From there on, we had a program in front of Calvary Baptist Church, which was good. Also, we had the parade, which was a very great turnout. We had the school bands, we had all sorts of organizations. I think this was a very good program, and it was one of the best. This is Coco Thomas, your fantastic reporter.
Thank you, Coco. You know, the speaker at St. John told us Sunday to tell it to our children. Tell it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Clara Luper radio show, and we've talked about the parade. The closing moments of this, we'll be talking about where do we go from here. I will be in El Reno tonight celebrating the interest of black history. I will be there with the African Methodist Episcopal Church at their big banquet at 6:30, and tonight is a night that you will be with Reverend Burroughs. And once again, I urge all of you to support him in a very special way, because he has a ministry known as Jesus is the Answer Radio and Prison Ministry. I shall be very busy this week, and I would like for you to know that on Wednesday I'll be at the First Southern Baptist Church, and I've invited a leader of that church here today. I would like to remind you that on February the 2nd we will have Miss Black Okmulgee in Okmulgee, Oklahoma. On February the 2nd, we will have Miss Black Cameron University at Cameron College in Lawton, Oklahoma. On February the 8th, I'll be with you at Mid-American Bible College. On February the 9th, we'll be at Miss Black University of Central Oklahoma. And we will be at Tabernacle Baptist Church. I will have the opportunity to speak for the Department of Agriculture down in Lexington, and join us in celebrating Miss Black OSU on February the 16th. And I'll be at Moon, thanks to Mr. Francisco, on sometime this week. Well, Mr. Mann, you are here, right?
I certainly hope so.
Okay, I know you are here because I see you, and you with your looking just like the president. Now, tell us about that program that you'll be having on the 30th.
Well, actually, what we're doing at 6:30 at First Southern Baptist Church in Del City, Oklahoma, we will be having a program in which we've invited Dr. T. Oscar Chappelle from Morning Star Baptist Church in Tulsa, and some local leader named Clara Luper to come and speak to our class and our church. Dr. Chappelle is going to be talking about Black Baptists in Oklahoma and the history of the black movement in Oklahoma, and Clara is going to be talking to us, I'm assuming, about the Oklahoma Freedom Fighters, which she has a whole lot of experience with. I did have the opportunity to go to the Midwest City prayer breakfast and the meeting after that, but unfortunately had to go to work and was not able to go to the parade. I wish I had been, because everything I've read in the papers and talked to people about it was a wonderful parade. I just wish I'd been there. Dr. Martin Luther King is one of the greatest leaders that this country's ever had, and his discussion was always that there has to be a end to segregation in the United States. And I believe that one of the last institutions that is still segregated is the church. And one of the things that we need to do is to end the segregation of the churches and bring them together so that we don't have a black church and a white church or an Oriental church. We must have just the church.
You know, when you say Southern Baptist, a Southern Baptist, a white Southern Baptist was the one that pulled out over the argument of slavery, right?
In 1845, yes,
In
ma'am.
1845, they say that they didn't want no blacks in the church. And here you are inviting a black person from Hoffman, Oklahoma, out there to speak. Now, let me tell you something. The president of the White Southern Baptist Association apologized for slavery one time, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Well, I don't want your apology, brother. I want your money. This is Clara Lou. Don't apologize to me. Send me out for dinner. Well, anyway.
I'd be happy to take you out to dinner, by the way.
I'm talking about Southern Baptists. I'm talking about the Southern Baptists. Come out and say, well, I'm going to take black folks out. And, you know, there are a lot of things the Southern Baptists could do. And I hope you all don't limit me in my speaking because I have to take advantage of it because I might not be invited back. So I better take advantage of it while I'm out there. Yes, this is the Clara Luper Radio Show, and this part of the show was brought to you by your plumber. Did you know you have a plumber that will take care of you anytime? And you talking about black power. If you want to see blacks and whites together, go down on 23rd and Broadway and see them at McDonald's. It's owned by Mr. and Mrs. Savage. Well, let's see. Calvin, did you understand? Did you understand?
Of course, Mama, I understand. I understand this, that you will be the speaker. I understand that we had a great time at the Martin Luther King Day celebration. I understand that this is a beautiful Saturday morning. I want to thank all of you for being a part of the Clara Luper Radio Show. And this is a special Saturday. We're recovering, I guess, from the march. But then what we're doing is planting the seed and continuing to nurture the seed that we talked about last weekend. This weekend, we're making that dream come closer to reality. The challenge is upon all of us, black, white, Mexican, Indian, even the Danny Williams type Indian. I tell you, Danny, I'll do something like that. But we've all got to work together. Oklahoma, we're talking about putting a dome on our capital. But I think when we take the spirit of the march, that arm in arm together, minds working in the same direction, all of us working toward the same goal. There wasn't no violence during the parade. It don't have to be no violence in our community. Wasn't no hatred shown during the parade. Don't have to be no hatred shown in our community. No, we're asking a lot, but we believe in God and we work toward our goal. I know that we can do it together. This is a special Saturday, Mom, because you're here and it was such a great show. We got Nathaniel here. We got Brother Man here, and we're talking about some good things that will be going on. You mentioned Allstate Insurance. You mentioned Gates Barbershop. You've even told them
Chauncey
Shardina. Things are going on right here, live and in living color.
I would like to tell you about what's going to happen at Fifth Street Baptist Church. Tomorrow, I understand the members of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority will be visiting there at 11 o'clock. And the president, the basileus of that chapter is a member of the Fifth Street Baptist Church, Priscilla Matoya.
Oh, good.
But let me tell you about the Black History Month activities.
Tell us quickly, Mom. We need to know.
The theme is reflecting on yesterday and pressing toward tomorrow. The kickoff breakfast will be at 7:30, February the 3rd, and we will be honoring Reverend Weekly. And the guest speaker will be Mr. Charles Alexander. Mr. McCullen is in charge of that program. On February the 10th, it will be Family and Friends Day with Mrs. Anna Slaughter, and that's going to be the day because we are going to do a special salute not only to the family and friends that are there, but to those members that we've lost this year. Songs for Our People will be there on February the 17th, along with the African American Heritage Day, sponsored by Mr. Portwood Williams and Mrs. Clay Jones, and the Songs of Our People and Reverend Ledberry will be the speaker for that occasion. But on February 24th, there will be Lucille Williams' Down Home Dinner.
I dig it. That sounds good.
And you are invited. It's an all-black day, so be sure and wear black. If you don't have any black, go to Marie Weekly and buy you a black dress, or go somewhere else and buy something black. Well, there'll be a special message delivered by the pastor that morning. He gave us that scripture reflecting on yesterday and pressing toward tomorrow from Deuteronomy, the 8th chapter, and you read it. But the down home dinner, and I know the people at Fifth Street are real excited. You will see me tomorrow. There will be a Black History special sermon by Reverend George Young, the pastor of Holy Temple Baptist Church and his congregation. Calvin, I got two important announcements
Mom,
that we've got to make.
You have two. I have two, too.
I've got to make
two, too.
Nat, make that announcement for me.
Yes, there will be a rally this coming Tuesday evening, January 29th, in celebration of Opio Touré's bill calling for a moratorium on executions in Oklahoma for 1 year. And we're going to gather at the south steps of the state capitol. Music at 4:30. The rally will be from 5 until 6 p.m. We have a number of speakers from the religious community, opinion leaders. Robin Myers from Mayflower Church is going to be there. John Reed's going to be there from Fairview Baptist Church. So we hope everybody will come out and support that rally and support Opio Touré's bill calling for a moratorium on executions in Oklahoma.
Today, the Kappa Alpha Psi presents the Ebony Bowl at 1 o'clock at Tabernacle Baptist Church. And I would like to wish good luck to everybody. Calvin,
Mom?
yes.
Yes. Okay, we can say that together. You know, I want to take this time to express our sympathy to the Blasingale family. You know, we know James and Willie Mae, and those of you who are part of KTLV, you listened to their broadcast on Tuesdays, but James lost his mom yesterday.
Lost his mother.
Yes, and the services are pending, and we want you to stay tuned, and we'll let you know where the services will be. But as Fluky say, when you point your finger at somebody, you're pointing three fingers back at yourself. Those words of wisdom from Fluky McDaniel, that's something to take with you all week. But today is a special day because not only are will I be doing the birthday song, but I want everyone to know that I too and everyone will be at Jesus is the Answer Radio and Prison Ministry. You've heard a lot about it. You've heard Reverend Barris, January 26th, Dale City Community Center. That's tonight, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. But Sister Eloise Crittenden, Brother Joe Payton, this song goes out to you, and you know it comes from the heart.
What's the name of that group that's going to be singing?
The group that will be singing is called the We Can't Singers.
We Can't Singers.
We Can't
Okay.
Singers. But we will not be, Reverend Barris did not ask us to be
Reverend Burris didn't invite you.
He did not invite us. He did not get with my
Reverend
agent.
Burris did not get with your
Well,
agent.
that's neither here nor there because we're here this morning. Sister Eloise Crittenden, Brother Joe Payton, this goes out to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Sister Eloise. Happy birthday, Joe. And may you have many, many more.
Calvin Luper, I understand that next week you will be celebrating a birthday, and the people want to know, will you be singing happy birthday to yourself?
Well, Mom, next week I will, the 10th of February is my birthday, and I will be celebrating. Charles say he will be singing. I don't know, but we will be having a good time all over this nation because February 10th is a special day. And those people at St. Anthony Hospital, and especially my mom, back there in 1946, they'll be celebrating with me too because good things happen on February 10th, and great things happen.
That was Ben Tipton's
birthday. Good friend Reggie Johnson. February 10th, a special day. Make it a special day in your life because it's definitely one in mine.
Okay, every Saturday I appeal to you to stay out of trouble. We have too many people that are burglarizing people's homes. And you know somebody broke in my home and got my stuff and hadn't brought my stuff back. I want my stuff. Bring it back.
Mom,
but we got to stop stealing.
Can we do that, thieves?
No, Calvin, we aren't going to do that. I want you to stop stealing. I want you to stop killing. And I want you to stop robbing somebody. This is Clara Luper saying, whatever you do, you take care of your own business and stay out of other people's homes and cars and all of that. Don't be a thief. Clara Luper saying, whatever you say about me, say it loud because I do love you. Bye-bye.